Well, as farmers wrap up the 2025 harvest season, they're making a lot of key decisions for next year, including seed and more. Let's talk about some of those key decisions and maybe some tips to consider as you're preparing for next season. Joining us now, she is retail business manager for Brevant Seeds in Nebraska. Caitlin York is with us here today on the show. Caitlin, welcome into Market Talk. Thanks for joining us. Hope all is well.
Yeah, thanks, Jesse. Thanks for having me.
Well, as farmers wrap up 2025, I know it's been a busy harvest season, but they got to start thinking about 2026. So, what factors should they take into consideration when they're talking to their retailers about those seed decisions for next season?
Yeah, absolutely. In some places we're not quite wrapped up out here in Nebraska. We're still harvesting some corn. But as we review 2025, what a growing season that our farmers have gone through, whether it be weather patterns. A big hot topic right now is disease pressure, southern rust, and tar spots seem to be talked about frequently. They've been very challenging. So, when we think about 25, reviewing that and making plans for 26, one thing that I would challenge folks to consider is how well their products held up to disease. I don't think there's any products that are immune entirely from it, but some did handle better than others. And that's something that Brevant is really proud of, our performance this year in the field. We were able to manage through some of the disease pressure, especially paired with fungicide and products of that sort and management. But, really reviewing their yield data and their maps and how things performed on their farm will allow them to make the best decisions moving forward. And one thing that we know is we'll always probably have a challenge in trying to anticipate that without giving up yield. So selecting products that perform in an agronomic situation, have good disease packages without giving up yield is going to be a critical decision to make for next year.
Well, and thinking about all the different, disease, pest, weed pressures that folks have had to deal with in varying degrees throughout this growing season and past growing seasons, I have to think that traits are so important to consider when you're selecting that seed for next season when you keep all those different factors in mind, right, Caitlin?
Absolutely. Anyone that works with me out here in Western Nebraska knows that I love to talk about traits and why they're so valuable to our growers out here. They're an incredible tool that we need to be utilizing and trying to figure out which one is the best fit and making that decision. Brevant and Corteva have recently launched 3 traits that were relatively new to the industry in the last 2 years. One that's talked about really frequently right now in Nebraska is the Vorceed trait. That's critical for the continuous corn acre, being able to control Western bean, which is a large pest out here for us. It robs a lot of yield if not managed appropriately. And then also weed pressure. We continue to battle herbicide resistance and trying to control weeds like palmer and water hemp. And so Vorceed is an incredible tool for those acres because it has improved rootworm control. We have herbicide flexibility. It adds 2 additional herbicides aside from Roundup and Liberty. We're also picking up the Enlist One chemistry, which is fantastic for adding options and tools for growers that are looking to manage a safer crop response and provide some flexibility when they're making those plans for post applications. And then huge for us in the volunteer corn, being able to control that with the FOP tolerance on a Vorceed. That's still a new technology. If you haven't utilized it, it's crazy to watch it work. The fact that we can go out to a cornfield and control volunteer corn in that cornfield, it's a fantastic technology. So the 4 herbicide tolerances, improved insect control, all while still adding yield at the end of the day. We've unlocked an incredible depth out of our germplasm pool to be able to pull high yield products and pair it with really high performing traits has been fantastic. And then on the rotated acre, because we have a lot of crop rotation as we stay east in Nebraska, we plant a lot of soybeans, but that PowerCore Enlist and PowerCore Ultra Enlist are 2 phenomenal traits that provide that insect control on above ground pests. And then being able to also have those 4 herbicide tolerances as well. So really at the end of the day, providing flexibility and options for post applications and weed management. And the one I love the most to talk about is the PowerCore Ultra Enlist. That Ultra piece gives us Western bean control. And we love to be able to kind of take that off of growers' plates and not have to scout and treat and try to worry about if they caught the right timing to control that. And just having that put in that trait, not having to give up yield in order to do that. It's a powerful, powerful trait for our growers.
Well, and you mentioned a lot of the advantages to Vorceed Enlist and PowerCore Enlist and PowerCore Ultra. And I just think about, what you said there for growers, having the flexibility with products like those and others in the Brevant lineup, having that flexibility to find the right product for their acres is just so, so crucial, isn't it, Caitlin?
Absolutely. One thing that we talk about out here in Nebraska is we know that the wind is going to blow. It's just how often and for how long, and at what miles per hour, and the impact that has on corn. Being able to have a safer crop response post, just having more options. I think even of pre-emerge, I think of our retail partners that are trying to schedule machines and cover acres, just having some flexibility when it comes to plant back restrictions and some of those things. Those tools are just so critical. Not relying on simply one option, but being able to come at it with a multi-option for their operation.
Well, if growers want to learn more about the Brevant Seeds portfolio, Caitlin, where can they get more information?
Absolutely. For those that like to go online, check out Vermont.com. But would really challenge you to reach out to your local retailer that's in your community. They're going to be set up best to know your acre and your operation and be able to provide the insights you're looking for.
And again, if you need that information, Brevant.com is a great place to start. With that, retail business manager for Brevant Seeds in Nebraska, Caitlin York, thanks for joining us here on the program today. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Jesse.